Happiness isn't just something you feel, it's something your brain actively creates. Science shows that our thoughts, behaviors, and habits can rewire neural pathways, shaping how we experience joy, resilience, and emotional well-being. In today's episode, we're diving deep into the neuroscience of positive psychology, how your brain is wired for happiness, and more importantly, how you can train it to work in your favor. Let's go. Welcome back to Mindful Chatting. I'm Kristen. Today we're going to explore the fascinating world of positive psychology through the lens of neuroscience. Unlike traditional psychology, which often focuses on treating mental illness, positive psychology is all about optimizing well-being, understanding what makes life worth living, and how we can actively cultivate happiness. But here's the exciting part. Science has proven that happiness isn't just a random occurrence. It's something we can train our brains to form. From the role of neurotransmitters like dopamine and serotonin to the brain's incredible ability to rewire itself through neuroplasticity, we'll break down the science behind positive emotions and share practical strategies to help you build a healthier, happier mind. So whether you're looking to improve your mood, build resilience, or simply understand how your brain processes emotions, this episode is for you. So as we get into this, positive psychology is a field within psychology itself, and it's relatively new. It emerged in the late 1990s, and it was kind of spearheaded by psychologist Martin Seligman. And this branch of psychology really studies human strengths, virtues, and factors that contribute to flourishing your life. So instead of focusing solely on treating psychological disorders, positive psychology emphasizes resilience, personal growth, and life satisfaction. And it provides a framework for improving your mental health by promoting positive experiences, emotions, and relationships. So let's talk about how positive psychology really differs from traditional psychology. So traditional psychology often is problem-focused. It's very symptom-based, and it's going to aim to diagnose and then treat that mental illness. Where positive psychology is more strength-based. It's going to focus on enhancing your well-being and also fulfilling your potential. A lot of therapists use an integrative approach where they now blend the traditional and the positive psychology techniques to provide a more holistic approach to mental health. But we need to talk about what the key principles are of positive psychology. And we first need to talk about emotions. And they focus on positive emotions. And research has shown that experiencing positive emotions can, everyone knows this, reduces stress and anxiety, improves your cardiovascular health, and also enhances your overall life satisfaction. But what I tend to notice with clients is we tend to focus more on the negative emotions and how they impact us, and not about the positive emotions and how they impact us. And when we sometimes explore positive emotions, I see that a lot of people actually don't know what positive emotions are or what they feel like, whether it's because it's been so long since they felt them or they don't really know the difference. And so I really want to break down 4 really good positive emotions that we are always constantly talking about and striving for, but really breaking them down of like, what is this and how do we decipher between them? So I'm first going to talk about joy. Joy is like a spontaneous feeling of happiness, and it arises from pleasurable experiences. It can arise from achievements or even really deep connection. But unlike fleeting pleasure, joy can be cultivated by engaging in meaningful activities. And so I'm going to talk about some ways we can cultivate joy. And joy can be cultivated through engaging in activities that spark some enthusiasm and creativity, such as like dancing or painting or playing music. You can also surround yourself with positive and uplifting people, and also savoring moments by practicing mindfulness and being fully present in the moment. So that is joy. Gratitude is the appreciation of what one has rather than focusing on what is lacking. And studies have shown that gratitude can enhance your mood, strengthen your relationships, and improve your mental health. I have a whole blog post episode and a whole podcast episode if you're interested in cultivating gratitude for yourself, and I'll put a link in the show notes for both of those. But I'll go over some brief ways we can cultivate gratitude. Gratitude journaling is one where you write down 3 things you're grateful for daily. I love Clever Fox gratitude journals. They have prompts. They have guided ways of expressing gratitude, and they're just very well made, very helpful and easy to use. And so I'll put a link in the show notes if you want to try some Clever Fox journal planners. We can also express appreciation to loved ones through like thank you notes or verbal affirmations. I don't think we do this enough. We may go to others and tell people how we're grateful specifically for our significant other, but we don't actually tell them. We may say thank you or thank you for doing this, but we don't tell them how their behavior and what they're doing makes our life better, easier, more enjoyable. And so expressing that appreciation for someone can cultivate this gratitude. Also reflecting on past challenges and recognizing that growth and how it brought you to this point is a way of expressing gratitude. Contentment. This is a weird emotion because I think everyone strives for happiness when really they might be looking for contentment. Contentment is a state of satisfaction and acceptance, where one feels at peace with life as it is. And unlike joy, which is momentary, contentment is a long-term emotional state that fosters resilience. So we are looking to be happy and looking for happiness, but we're actually really looking for contentment. We're looking at this state of this long-term phase of where we're at peace with how our life is going. We can cultivate contentment by practicing self-acceptance and avoiding comparison. We never want to avoid comparing our lives to others. If anyone has ever heard of this quote, comparison is the thief of joy, it really does take the joy and happiness out of something if we're comparing our experiences to other people. Engaging in meditation and mindfulness to appreciate the present moment is a great place to start, and also simplifying your life. If we're focusing on what truly actually brings happiness to you and focusing on applying our energy and time to those things. Last emotion I really want to focus on is love. Love is a big word, but in the context of positive psychology, love extends beyond romantic relationships to include deep connections, and that can include family, friends, or humanity as a whole. And love fosters this emotional security, trust, and a sense of belonging. So ways to cultivate love can be obviously strengthening relationships by practicing empathy and that active listening skills, showing acts of kindness and generosity to others, and engaging in self-love practices such as positive self-talk and self-compassion. Positive emotions activate really huge key brain regions that enhance mental health, resilience, and the overall well-being. And neuroscientists have identified specific structures involved in experiencing joy, gratitude, contentment, and love. And we're going to go into each one of those. Let's first talk about dopamine, which is the reward transmitter. And dopamine plays a really crucial role in motivation, pleasure, and the reinforcement of learning. It is released when we experience rewarding activities, such as like achieving a goal, receiving praise, or engaging in enjoyable activities. There's natural ways to actually boost your dopamine. One was setting achieving and meaningful goals, like actually doing and completing them. Engaging in exercise. Movement actually increases your dopamine levels. And gratitude, because gratitude shifts your focus to more positive experiences, which increases your dopamine. There's also serotonin, which is the mood stabilizer. Serotonin is linked to feelings of well-being and happiness. This is our happiness. It helps regulate mood, social behavior, and our stress response. So some natural ways to increase serotonin would be exposure to sunlight, and exposing yourself to sunlight promotes that serotonin production. Also, engaging of acts of kindness help others boost serotonin. Practicing mindfulness and meditation, and that also enhances our serotonin levels. The prefrontal cortex, or that rational part of our brain, is responsible for decision making, impulse control, and emotional regulation. And positive psychology interventions such as gratitude and mindfulness can help strengthen this area, which leads to better emotional resilience. How we can strengthen our prefrontal cortex, which is engaging in deep conversations that actually require some critical thinking skills, practicing mindfulness and that deep breathing to enhance our focus, and reduce chronic stress with relaxation techniques. If you're interested in learning more about how you can reduce your stress, I have a blog post and a podcast episode that goes into coping with stress. Lastly, we have the amygdala, which processes our stress and our emotion. And this plays a key role in processing fear and stress. Positive experience help regulate this activity and reducing anxiety and increasing our emotional balance. So how do we regulate our amygdala? We engage in deep, slow breathing exercises. We can practice gratitude to shift our focus away from our fear-based thinking. We can also build strong social connections that create a sense of safety and belonging. So we talked about positive emotions and the neurotransmitters involved. Now we're going to go into engagement, or the idea of flow. It occurs when we're fully immersed in an activity. Think about when you're doing something and you lose track of time and you lose track of what's going on around you. That is flow. And flow leads to a sense of fulfillment and deep satisfaction. And how we achieve flow is by doing strength-based activities. So that's tasks that align with your natural skills and your interests. So when you're doing something that you really enjoy or that comes very naturally to you, or you kind of just dive into it, that's your flow. And so doing that over and over strengthens that, because I think it's a skill to be able to dip in and out of flow. And so again, the more you practice something, the more you're able to do it. Setting clear goals for yourself. So having a structured plan can help maintain focus and motivation, and also reducing distractions, which can be quite difficult. But if we create a dedicated space and time for our deep work and our creative pursuits, we're more likely to get into that engagement or that flow. Another key aspect of positive psychology is relationships. Strong, positive relationships are really a cornerstone of our well-being. And research indicates that the quality of our relationships contribute more to happiness than wealth and career success. But how do we build nurturing, lasting relationships? We have to practice some active listening. So when we're engaging fully, when we're conversing with other people, it builds deeper connections. We also have to talk about appreciation, because if we're regularly acknowledging and appreciating the people in your life, we're building and nurturing that relationship. Boundaries. Boundaries has been a big buzzword hot topic. And I might do a whole podcast blog post on boundaries within itself, but boundaries are where healthy relationships thrive, because in order for us to have boundaries, we have to have clear communication and we have to have mutual respect. And so we can't have a healthy relationship without communication and respect. So boundaries actually cultivate a healthy, nurturing relationship. If you want to know more about how to rekindle your spark in your relationship or cultivate healthier relationships, I have a blog post that discusses how positive psychology can strengthen your romantic relationships, improve your emotional connections, and rebuild your intimacy through mindfulness and communication. I also have a podcast episode called Strengthening Connections, and it covers strategies for fostering meaningful relationships, including this idea of active listening, setting healthy boundaries, and utilizing positive psychology principles for deeper connections. The next key aspect of positive psychology is meaning and purpose. And finding our purpose and meaning in life leads to just greater life satisfaction, But a sense of meaning often involves using our strengths to contribute to something larger than ourselves. So we have to work on discovering our purpose. And part of that is doing core value exercises. So that's identifying what truly matters to you and how you can align your actions accordingly. One of the big theories about depression is that we have a value, but we're not living that value. And that's what creates that conflict and that tension within our interpersonal of ourselves, and that creates depression. So first we got to figure out, what do we value, and are we actually living those values? Volunteering and giving back, having any kind of acts of kindness or community service do provide a deep sense of fulfillment. And lastly, engaging in this self-discovery. Journaling, therapy, self-reflection, they all help clarify your life purpose. And the last key principle of positive psychology is accomplishment. And setting and achieving goals, even if they're big or small, builds confidence, resilience, and motivation. And also the act of working toward a goal provides that kind of sense of progress and fulfillment that we need. So there are some very effective goal setting strategies. I always talk about SMART goals, which are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. If you want to know more about SMART goals, I have a blog post called Navigating the New Year that provides a psychological framework for actually setting and achieving goals. And it kind of uses a lot of the principles of positive psychology, including self-compassion and realistic goal setting. I also have a podcast episode called Beyond Resolutions that focuses on moving beyond the traditional New Year's resolutions and creating sustainable habits using neuroscience-backed strategies. So if you're interested in going deeper into that, I'll put a link in the show notes for both of those things. One of the things about achievement is breaking large goals into steps. And if we're taking incremental actions, that makes these big achievements a lot more attainable. And the blog posts and the podcast go a lot more deeper into this. But if we can do something on a daily or even weekly basis that gets us closer to those bigger goals, we're more likely to stay consistent and sustain what we're trying to do. Also, celebration and reward, because if we're recognizing these small wins, they boost motivation and also create that long-term commitment that we're looking for. So as we wrap up today's episode, let's really take a moment to reflect on what we've learned. Positive psychology isn't about ignoring life's challenges. It's about leveraging the power of neuroscience to cultivate emotional resilience, joy, and well-being. Your brain is constantly changing, adapting, and rewiring itself based on your habits and experiences, which means you have more control over your happiness than you might think. By practicing gratitude, engaging in mindfulness, building strong relationships, and prioritizing you can actively rewire your brain to support a more positive, fulfilling life. If you found this episode helpful, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your biggest takeaway, and don't forget to check out our website for more resources, blog posts, and links to studies mentioned in this episode. Until next time, keep thriving, not just surviving. This podcast may contain affiliate links, and if you click on these links and make a purchase, I may receive a small commission at no extra cost to you. I only recommend products and services that I personally use and believe will add value to you. Thank you for supporting the podcast.